Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of Maharashtra State Branch of Indian Academy of Pediatrics, a very warm welcome to all the respected dignitaries, seniors, and colleagues. I also welcome all the attendees who have joined through our live YouTube channel. Before we start, I request everyone to put their queries in the chat box, as today we will be attending all the queries not at the last, rather right now. So please feel free and start posting. Today, Mahayapi has arranged a panel discussion with stalwarts on complementary feeding in children. First, I welcome our Mahayapi President, Dr. Hemant Kambolia, sir, to share his blessings. Over to you, sir.
Good afternoon, all the faculties, my respected sir, Dr. Satish Tiwari, sir, my good friend, Dr. Ashish Jain, as well as Dr. Rekha Madam and Dr. Kanya Madam, the moderators for this session, and all the dignitaries of the Maha-AP Women Committee, and also all the viewers on the Maha-AP YouTube channel. Today we are having the discussion on complementary feeding, and it looks like irony to me. Means what, again and again we have to discuss complementary feeding, because it's still we are struggling, and still we find the food product industry is flourishing, and all the things, the junk foods, everything is flourishing all the way. Probably the things are there ki whether this product should come in the market or not, and really what does complementary feeding means. And what I feel is whatever is started as early as possible, though it is said 6 months, yes, 6 months to 1 year, that is the age when all the things to be given, and all tastes of every food in the family should be given to be tasted, and that's where the everything gets started, and it gets the healthy turn to the child. But still we find that somebody starting this protein powders and milk product and these things, and also the chocolates and whatnot. Still, though I say I practice in a rural area, and those it is a rural area, but still I see the Adivashi people having that all that packets of the wafers and whatnot, and everything is there. But still, I think so it should start from us, because still we find a prescription, the gynecologist, obstetrician, still we find a prescription, our colleagues also having all these elements to prescribe. We should not be there actually. So let us start from us, from our side itself. And I think so probably this session will highlight these things also, as well as again and again reiterating the same thing. What is the importance of the complementary meal, complementary feeding to be started. And I think so we are very stalwarts in these fields. They are working very hard in this field. And also I remember Dr. Satish Tiwari sir and his team giving all the letters to the central government and everything. They are trying very hard, and Ims Act and Ims Act is all in the place, but still we find difficult. With that, I think so we will have a good learning and relearn again and again. And wish you all the best for this session. And I know moderators will do the best thing, and of course faculty will do the best. Thank you very much, madam.
Thank you so much, sir. For the first 6 months, the baby is strictly put to mother's milk, and all over the world, breast milk is considered as nectar for the child. And as the child grows beyond 6 months, it no longer meets the increasing nutritional needs of the baby. So today we have with us 4 eminent experts to guide us about complementary feeding. Now I hand over to Dr. Renu Boralkar, ma'am. She is chairperson of Maha-AP Women's Committee. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Neha. Good evening to all. Good afternoon to all of you and all the dignitaries here, and welcome to all the faculties and also our colleagues of IAP. So I take this opportunity to introduce our first panelist, the stalwart in this our feeding panel. Dr. Satish Tiwari, sir, welcome to you. He's MD, LLB, and fellowship in pediatrics from IIP. He's the founder president, Indian Medical Legal Ethics Association, founder convener, Human Milk Banking Association, founder IYCF chapter IIP 20 to 23, and professor of pediatrics at Medical College Amravati. He has been awarded with many orations like Nirmala Kesari Oration 2012, Dr. N.B. Kumta Award in 2015, Dr. Shirole Oration 2019, and Dr. Ghoshal Oration 2019. He is an editor textbook of medical legal issues, textbook on maternal, infant, young child, and adolescent nutrition. Sir, welcome to you. And this is your CV which has been flashed. And as we have said in the start, that Neha has said that you put your questions and we will go according to your questions, and our questions amalgamated together. So we will have a nice complementary feeding of this knowledge at the end of the session. So rightly put out by Anjali Gokarna madam that Dr. Tiwari sir, she wants to ask, is what do you mean by a baby-led feeding? Which is it really different from a weaning or a complementary feeding? She wants to have it from you, sir.
Thank you, Renu madam, for the excellent opportunity. I thank the organizing committee members, thank Dr. Hemant Gangolia and of course Dr. Amol Pawar for giving this opportunity. And I see that already there are 3 questions in the chat box. So I will request other attendees also to put their questions in the chat box. Now, when we say the weaning, usually that word is not used nowadays, because weaning for all practical purposes means from the weaning the baby away from the breast. So that we are not doing. So the best word is complementary feeding. After 6 months of the life, when the baby is in the growth spurt, we all know that first 2 to 3 years there is a growth spurt, and then after the adolescent there is a growth spurt. So for this growth spurt, the mother's milk may not be sufficient, and hence we have to complement the feed. So complementary feeding is the most appropriate word. We should not use the word weaning. Now the question is baby-led weaning. So I think that is also a misnomer. It should be baby-led feeding rather than the weaning. So baby-led feeding means when we start complementary feeding, we have to keep 2 or 3 basic principles in mind. That is, 1, it should be homemade. Second, it should be semi-solid and not totally liquid. And third principle, which we tell commonly to our colleagues and to our patients or to the parents, is that it should be according to the choice of the child and not according to the choice of the parents. So if the baby likes something sweet, let us give him sweet. If he likes salty food, give him salty food. If he likes any other taste, I think the taste of baby is also developing around this age. So we have to give importance to the taste of the child also. Many times when parents say that, ask me that, Dr. Sahib, he eats only sweet food, not the salty food. I say, what do you, according to whom choice you eat? So then they say, no, I eat according to my choice. So I say, if your baby is not mentally subnormal or not mentally retarded, then he will also eat according to his choice. So we have to understand this basic principle that nobody eats according to the choice of the others. So the parents should also accept that the weaning or the complementary feeding has to be as per the choice of the baby. Only thing here which the parents have to take is that it should be a balanced food. So it should not be only fatty food, or it should not be only high protein or something like that. A balanced food should have equal balance of calories, protein, fat, minerals, vitamins, even water. Everything should be there. So I think baby-led weaning is giving the child food of his choice or of his liking.
Right, sir. Thank you so much. Sir, again, madam has asked, and also we are thinking is what is the ideal age for introducing this complementary feeding, and whether if the mother is a working woman, then can she introduce it as early as 3 to 4 months? Is it advisable?
Okay, very good question. I think is a very good question. For all practical purposes, scientific evidence say that mother's milk is adequate for 6 months, and there should be exclusive breastfeeding for 6 months. Now, as you have raised the question, if the mother is working, can we start earlier? So the scientific recommendation will go, no, only exclusive breastfeeding for 6 months. You will say the mother is working and she has to go for work. So I think the provision made by government is 6 months maternity leave and 2 years of child care leave. So what we should do, we should ask the mother that if she is working and if she is getting the maternity leave, she should take most of the leave after the birth of the. Another thing, I am slightly deviating from the point what the question you had asked, but I think this thing should be covered here so that subsequently there is no need to have a separate question. So mother should take a maternity leave after the delivery, and she can have for about 5.5 to 6 months after the birth of the child. So exclusive breastfeeding is not difficult in such situation. The another option we give to the working mother is that if she is working in a nearby place, she can discuss with the office staff that I have a small baby and I have to feed him. So she can come in between every 2.5 to 3 hours and continue breastfeeding the baby and then again go back to the office. If she is working in a place which is far off from the her home, then of course she can keep the express milk in the home and the person who is available in the home can feed the baby.
Right.
If she has a facility to express the milk at the office, she can express the milk at the office and send it every 2.5 to 3 hourly so that somebody in the home can feed the baby. If there is a facility to carry the baby to the office, she can also carry the baby to the office. So there is no need to express the milk and feed. So for breastfeeding, for all practical purposes, we don't advise anything else whether the mother is working or not working. 6 months exclusive breastfeeding.
Right,
now the
sir.
question which Anjali madam has asked, can we give early?
Yeah.
So now if for any reason the baby is not on mother's milk or exclusive breastfeeding and he is getting top milk or formula milk, then we all know about 10 or 20 years back, the recommended age for weaning was 3 to 4 months. So if we are giving 3 to 4 months, the baby food at the 3 to 4 months, it was recommended by the multinational companies also and many of our colleagues also. But now for the last, what I remember, 20 years, there is a recommendation that exclusive breastfeeding for 6 months. So in case mother has any problem, she is giving animal milk. If she is giving formula milk, my personal opinion is that we can start complementary feeding at 3 to 4 months rather than giving formula or giving the animal milk. So in that case, we can start earlier.
Okay, sir. Okay, got it. Sir, what is the sensitive period and critical period in this complementary feeding?
Yes. Now sensitive period and the second one you said is critical period.
Critical period, sir. Yeah.
Now these are the two words which we usually use during the development and the growth of the child.
Yeah.
For a child who has come out of the mother's uterus,
Okay.
the world is new to him. He has to learn many things before he acquires some skill. So the learning process is always there and the childhood development is always there. These two words are used, the sensitive period and critical period are used in relation to this development or the learning of the child. For anything for a child to learn, there is a sensitive period. Like we will take a very simple example that if a child starts running, he cannot run at the age of 6 months or 8 months. At 6 months or 8 months, he can only sit or sit with the support. Running he can do only after 15 or somewhere around 15 to 18 months. Similarly, if you try to teach any language to the child, the learning of language will be somewhere from 1 year to 2 years, and learning of language, different language will be somewhere between 3 to 5 years. So during that period, if you are doing something, then it is called as the sensitive period. If the child crosses this sensitive period, there is a what is called as critical period. That means if you do not allow the child to run at 18 months, which is a sensitive period, okay, he can still learn around 2 years or 2.5 years. But after 2.5 years, if you ask him to run, then it will be difficult for him to learn that easily. As I give the second example of language, if you teach any language to the child between somewhere around 5 years of age, if you put him in the school and he is taught English, Marathi, Hindi, he will learn all the 3 languages. But if the child is in a totally English medium school and he is not taught Hindi or Marathi till the 4th or 5th standard, then in the 5th standard, it will be difficult for him to learn the other languages. So similarly for feeding also, for the complementary feeding, if we start around 6 to 7 months, it is easily for the child to learn the swallowing, the chewing, gulping of the food, all these things. But if we delay the complementary feeding beyond 1 year, which was done in the, I think 1 or 2 decades back, when the breastfeeding was supposed to be adequate for 1 year, and many families or the many parents, they started breastfeeding about after 1 year of age. So that becomes a critical period for learning how to swallow and how to chew and all this. So if the baby passes this critical period, then feeding will be difficult, or it will be difficult for the child to learn the proper feeding. And then it will be difficult for the parents to make the child chew and swallow.
Okay. Are there certain basic principles for complementary feeding introduction, sir?
I think we have discussed 3 principles. One, that it should be homemade. That is very important. The reason is that the commercial foods, they contain preservative. They may not be fresh. And thirdly, they are very costly. These are the common, most important difference which I am telling. There may be many other differences between homemade and the commercial food. Second is, it should be semi-solid. So that means dal rice, the khichdi, sira, upma, like that. But you should not give the liquid foods like the fruit juice. Another big confusion or the misconception in the mind of our parents is that soups are very healthy. But for a complementary feeding, soups are not important because it is watery. So soups are out as far as complementary feeding is concerned. We can give the pulp of the fruit. Fruit juices are out again. And for this reason only we say the animal milk should not be used, because the animal milk is again a liquid or watery food, and we want semi-solid food. So food-based diet can be given. That is the third principle. Another thing which we have already discussed, that it should be as per the choice of the child and not as per the choice of the parents. The fourth principle, which usually we say, is amount of the food. Again, there are a lot of misconceptions, not only among the parents, but also among the pediatrician. So the amount we should not calculate. Let the child calculate how much he wants to eat. What we should do, we should monitor the weight record or the growth of the child. If he is growing properly, if he is gaining adequate weight, there is no need for the parents or the pediatrician to have the doubt that the child is not eating adequate. I think these are 4 or 5 basic principles which we should always keep in mind while deciding the complementary.
Right, sir. Sir, about this complementary feeding, do we introduce cow's milk here as a single thing, or someone has asked whether you have to introduce after 1 year, then how we can make suji, dalia, kheer, etc.?
No, as we discussed, the only milk is not recommended, whether it is 6 months, whether it is 1 year, or whether it is 2 years.
Yeah.
So what we feel, the animal milk usually should be given after the 1 year only, or any animal food should be given after 1 year. I think that is the best possible. Now again, there may be a lot of controversies, but it is a, we can say, very ancient or age-old misconception in the mind of our parents that the milk is must for the child. And milk is also cow's milk, not the mother's milk. Many parents will say, the mother does not have any milk, so we are giving cow's milk. So the only milk is to be avoided. It should be given after 1 year of age, and it should be in the form of milk-based diet.
Okay, sir. The same question was asked by Dr. Jain Shah, this animal type of protein, he says it is against the law of nature. The stock milk should not be used as complementary food. Your views on this, that you have already told, sir. Now
that I already told. As far as possible, there is no advantage of giving animal milk, except for one thing. I think the B12 content is there in the animal milk. For a vegetarian people or for a vegetarian family, the only advantage of milk is that it is a source of vitamin B12. So where we can give vitamin B12 in a medicine form, the role of milk again becomes controversial. So for all practical purposes, give the diet which may not be containing milk, and in that case you can give the B12 supplementation.
Yeah, you had already commented on the texture of the food, sir. The person is asking whether the child may not be in a mood to have some liquid or some solid, then how to feel the energy gap.
That we have already discussed, that if you give a balanced food, usually there will not be any energy gap. So you have to see that you give a combination of the calories, protein and fat, and mineral and vitamins. And as far as the informing the parents is concerned, what you have to see, they will not understand calories, protein and fat. So only thing you have to tell that it should be a combination of cereal, pulse, and of course the vegetables and fruits.
Okay. So the person, Dr. Sandeep sir is asking how to make then dalia and suji if we are not using milk.
Then you can use milk. I am not saying don't use milk, but dalia and suji, sira we are making without milk only. Upma is without milk only. So milk is not a must. That is what we
only,
are saying.
I think he want to ask, sir, for kheer we can use some amount of milk, but not as a single milk component feeding for complementary feeding, as you have said.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
It should not be only milk. It has to be milk-based cereal.
Yeah. And we can use milk in some amount to make the food palatable.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you, sir. Over to you, Neha, for further questions. Yeah. And I would like to introduce Neha. She is our co-editor of Maha-IP Bulletin and this year. Yeah, welcome Neha. She is from Navi Mumbai.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Now I would like to introduce Dr. Rekha Harish, ma'am. She is a professor of Department of Pediatrics, HIMSR, New Delhi. And she is advisor IAPTF for prevention of NCDs 2017. She is President NCD Prevention Academy IAP chapter, and she is member NCD Technical Advisor Group Asia Pacific Pediatric Association. She's also a member of FSSAI Working Group for Review of Thresholds of Fat, Sugar, Salt, and Subcategories for Front of Pack Labeling 2020-21. Welcome, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. My first question for you will be.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. If we are giving fruits and vegetables, like sir already told, we can give pulp of fruits and vegetables. Then which fruits and vegetables should we consider, and at what age we should consider which fruits earlier and which one to be later?
At the outset, I would like to express my gratitude and thanks for having me in this esteemed group of elite pediatricians of the country, and helping me to express my views regarding this very debatable topic, which is still a gray area because it's very poorly covered in our undergraduate level, as well as our postgraduates are also very flimsy or shaky when they deal with this age group in nutrition counseling. So as Dr. Satish Tiwari ji has already led the ball rolling and expressed almost all about the complementary feeding in a summarized manner, he has already told us that we have around 7 food groups which are to be included with the principle of minimal dietary diversity, which is to be followed in complementary feeding. The 2 groups of food which need to be introduced to these children are already covering fruits and vegetables. One group of vitamin A rich fruits and vegetables, and second is the other fruits and vegetables. So when we talk of fruits and vegetables, we want to introduce as many colors of fruits and vegetables because we know the importance of each color, which adds to a different mineral or a different vitamin in the child's diet. And we want to inculcate the principles of balanced diet right from this age, and not at later age when he's school going or he's already spoiled his habits. So the habits need to be well established right from 6 months onwards itself to have a healthy foundation of the adult life. And when we talk of fruits, mainly the pulpy fruits, as has been told by Dr. Satish ji, we want to use the seasonal fruits. We want to use the locally available, the culturally acceptable fruits and vegetables to which the community is tuned to. They are already seeing these in their environment. The people, community which is rolling in wealth is often chasing what is shown in the media, shown in the ads, or advertised that this is imported or this is still available. Mango is available in December, so go for it. So these non-seasonal, the imported brands, or these all are not required. We want to go for fresh, seasonal, and locally grown fruits and vegetables, which will be much more cheaper and much more nutritious than the non-locally grown or even the frozen ones, the canned ones, fruits and juices. And mashed bananas, mango, papaya, chiku, sweet potato, they form a very good combination or a very good choice initially. The only thing with fruits we have to be careful is with children that we have to be careful about the seeds and the peels which should not go inside, so that the child is not predisposed to choking. So small fruits like grapes and cherries, etc., these should be avoided because they can cause choking. But these pulpy fruits, when they are mashed with a fork or with hand by pressing physically, they are preferred. We don't want to use a blender, because once we blend everything together, the taste and texture of each fruit is not going to be realized by the child. Actually, the basic principle is that the child is a victim of, or whatever the result is, the child is a net result of what environment he is brought up in, whether it's the home, school, or the community. When it comes to this age group, he is a victim of the family members' choices around. So if we have to follow the family, the tradition, the culture, but take out the best scientifically proven facts out of it so that the child's nutrition is taken care of. When we talk of vegetables, we want green leafy vegetables. We want pumpkin, carrot, etc. because we want vitamin A rich food, because these are the fruits or these are the vegetables which can be easily cooked and can be easily mashed and pureed with a fork and made a smooth pulp. Then we do not want the canned and the frozen fruits. This must be told to the community, because these canned and frozen foods are frozen foods and fruits, even if it is a pure vegetable, cut vegetables, they are available in packs in so many shops everywhere around. They are loaded with sodium. You will not believe they are loaded with at least 400 milligrams of sodium per 100 grams, and which we are not even aware of. It is only if we read the labels we come to know. And we don't want to give any sodium and sugar in this age group also. So, and there are other thing which they are containing is the various preservatives, the coloring agents, which are known to disrupt the endocrinal system and affect the growth, the development, and they can cause food allergies. So we want fresh, locally available, seasonal, as well as cheap and nutritious fruits and vegetables. And we want to expose the child to all forms of tastes and textures of this nature, which is grown in nature, and not the packs which are there in the market or stored in our refrigerator. So the environment of the home should be such that it is loaded with fruits and vegetables. The child touches each and every fruit. He knows the shape of that fruit. He knows the color of that fruit, and he is able to appreciate that texture and taste. So that is the basic principle of introducing fruits and vegetables right from this age group. And as the child grows up, he will be able to have a good pincer grasp. He can even hold a banana at the age of 10 months, and under supervision can take it directly peeled off. So this is the way we want to introduce, so that the child learns to eat fruits and vegetables daily in his diet right from the beginning.
Yes, ma'am. My second question would be, now many like oats biscuit and all are introduced in the market. So can we give them or they are junk? What about the junk food which parents are offering to their kids, telling that this contains barley or this is containing oats?
Junks, actually, as I told you, that the child is a victim of the environment around. So he is falling a prey to the choices of the family, the siblings around, the other family members around, who are themselves busy with cold drinks in their hands and chips packet in their hand. So, and the first thing which we have seen that the child learns to grasp is a mobile, because that is the only object which is lying closest to him in this age group. So he will learn to use the mobile. He will get addicted to the screen. He will see that these children or my parents are enjoying this fruit juices and drinks, and so he will also learn. So it is the matter of the family which is to be treated or groomed. It is not that it is impossible to tell a child not to have junk food if the family around is busy with that. So that is a inculcation of the family habits. So that junky environment of the family, of the home, is to be changed. If there is no difference between the the food products or packaged items which are available in a community shop and the home refrigerator, the child can never learn to grow, to go back to nature. And you know that these items are so addictive, because they are loaded with sodium, fats and sugars. And besides this, they are loaded with preservatives and chemicals, which are so very harmful in this age group. So we have to change that environment. We have to tell them that this child needs the 7 food groups. We need to feed the child from the 7 food groups. First is the grains and roots and tubers. Second is the fruits and vegetables with vitamin A rich ones. Then is the other fruits and vegetables. Then the non-vegetarian foods. If the family is following, it is not mandatory. It depends upon the family's choice. Then eggs, then nuts and fats and oils. So all these groups have to be included in the food diet, and made it in such a manner, presented in such a manner that it is following the development of the child. So if the baby is 8 months old, we don't expect him to take solids as lumpy solids. We have to give it in a gruel form or in a pulpy form, so that the child is able to swallow. He is learning from to switch over from drinking to swallowing and chewing. So he has to be trained accordingly. And as the child grows older, these foods have to be changed in consistency depending upon the development. So if we include a basic minimum of 4 food groups in a single day, we can reach the minimal dietary diversity. And we have to hammer it into the heads of the family members that whatever is advertised for children as healthy is absolutely false and misleading. Don't go in for any of these advertisements. They are likely to add to ill health and lay the foundation of non-communicable diseases right from infancy onwards. The temptation of adding a health supplement, as soon as the child crosses 6 months, they start looking for any supplements to be added to animal milk and to be given, because they are being projected as the child will run fast or the child will score more. So they want their child to be brilliant, they want their child to be strong, but they want to feed the sugar loaded health supplements. Or they will fall trap to the ready-made tinned infant foods. The infant foods are also another source of sugars. They have various forms of a single pack of this tinned food will contain sucrose also, glucose also, maltose also, corn syrup also, as well as added sugar. So the reader will not be able to decode anything. He will just read sugars, and he might say, okay, this much should be there because this is a small child. And then the preservatives, the chemicals. Why do we need to buy wheat flour, sugar and milk at the cost of 200 rupees per 250 grams? We have all these things at home. We need to teach the community to please go to your kitchen and then bring out the complementary food, and don't search it in the market. That is the basic principle.
If you're telling about kitchen, ma'am, I want to ask, like complementary food, Dr. Venkatesh has asked, in complementary food, should we add masalas, the Indian masalas? And if what masalas can be used for the little babies?
Traditionally, we are not using any spices or masalas, but whatever we cook at home, definitely adults will be taking much more. We want to avoid those chilies initially. So naturally, we'll be taking out some food which is not that spicy or not that this thing. So we don't want these chilies and masalas to be there. But definitely we want a diet which is relatively bland, and we want that the taste buds of these children are not tuned to the super tasters. Especially super tasters are salts and sugars on this age group, and these things need to be avoided so that the taste buds, they get tuned to that low level of sugar and salt, and as they grow up after 2 or 3 years, they do not accept that high sugar and salt. That is the basic this thing. Otherwise, the ingredients will remain the same. The cereals, the pulses, the nuts and fruits, vegetables, they all will remain the same.
There's one more question in the chat box, ma'am, from Dr. Venkatesh. What about Nachni? And when should we introduce that? And what amount should we use that?
I'm not aware of Nachni.
It is like ragi.
It's a ragi.
Calcium rich food. Yeah.
A single millet is not the choice. We want a multiple exposure. The cereals, basically they are chosen from this staple diet, and it has been seen that some communities, they use ragi as the only staple diet, but that's not healthy. We want a blend of various cereals. We don't want to run after one cereal. Ragi you can include, but include it in combination with other cereals also. And a blend of two parts of cereals and one part of pulse is supposed to take care of all the essential fatty acids requirement.
There's one more question from Dr. Bharti. When should we introduce egg or wheat, as these foods are allergens to the allergens to the little baby?
Eggs are generally advocated around 7 to 8 months, and they can be used. And the earlier they are used, it has been seen that if the eggs and the peanuts, they are introduced at an earlier age and given, the food allergy is lesser in the older age group. So it's not that we are going to prevent allergies by withdrawing this from their child's diet in the infancy.
Okay, ma'am. Over to you, Renu ma'am.
Yeah, thank you so much, Rekha ma'am. You have explained very nicely to all our people about the importance of the fruit, vegetables, and the junk food which is not to be given. Now over to Dr. Kanya Mukhopadhyay ma'am. I would like to introduce her. She is MD, DNB, DMF, NNF. She is a professor neonatology, Department of Pediatrics, PGI Chandigarh. She has more than 10 awards to her name. She has more than 100 book chapters and papers. Wow, man, what a CV you have. Special interest in neonatal nutrition, neurodevelopment, and long-term follow of ELPW. Secretary presently of this IYCF 2022-23 chapter of IAP, and President Chandigarh chapter IAP 2022. Ma'am, I would like to ask you, what is the role of nutrition in this early childhood and the relation to the adult disease?
Thank you, ma'am, for inviting me. And first of all, I would like to congratulate the Maharashtra IAP for organizing today's events regarding the complementary feeding. And just for my IUICF chapter secretary's point of view, I'm very glad to see that all the big states, like last 3 days, it is going on from 6th onwards. Every day, all these states like Kerala, then we had Karnataka, and today Maharashtra, they are celebrating this complementary feeding day by organizing these webinars. We know that how bad is our NFHS 5 data as far as child health indices are concerned. The complementary feeding rate is very poor. It is about 11%. Our 6 to 23 months old children who get a proper complementary feeding or adequate diet is only 11%. And irrespective of the rural or the urban, and it has in fact worsened from the NFHS 4 data. So I wish that all the chapters take a lead in this by propagating this message of complementary feeding to our all pediatricians, all our PGs and UGs.
Yeah. Ma'am, can I interrupt? Because there is a presidential action plan which is going on in the NCECD. where we
Okay.
are doing it for the general pediatricians, where the
Okay.
complementary feeding along with your IYFC guidelines are taken in it, ma'am. And it will be reaching all over India since last 2021 to 2023 it is going on, ma'am.
Okay, that will be great. And we need to reach to the general population actually through the mass media like TV, radios, newspapers, all this. So I wish you all the best from secretary's point of view, and I hope we get a better NFHS 6 data in future. So
Yeah.
coming back to your question about the role of early feeding and the long-term neurodevelopment or long-term outcomes. So yes, it is very much related with the early feeding. So the longer the breastfeeding and the more exclusive the breastfeeding in the beginning, it has lots of advantages. There are now many studies, and those long terms are like, they are in the age of 30, 40, 50, 60s. Also, there are studies now that it improves the metabolic outcomes of these adults quite a bit. Like the type 2 diabetes is less, obesity is less, hypertension is less, hyperlipidemia is less, insulin resistance is less. Now coming to the childhood effects, so these are the adult effects, already sort of studies are there, and there are a lot of studies also in the childhood. Like it has been shown the insulin resistance at 3 years, 4 years, 5 years of children, the insulin resistance is better if they are breastfed as compared to the formula fed. So apart from the cognitive development, which is also beneficial if you give more of breast milk, the long-term metabolic outcome is good. And this is again sort of the effects are also seen in the preterm babies and the small for gestational age babies. So it is not only for the term babies. The preterm babies tend to get a lot of metabolic adverse outcome, and SGA babies like this Barker's hypothesis. So the breast milk improves all these overall outcomes.
Right, ma'am. You have pointed out it very rightly. Also, actually, it was answered by Rekha, ma'am, but still, can you highlight that some of the food might cause allergies? So, in Indian population, do you think it is more common or in Western population?
The peanut allergy, actually, we don't see much. Cow's milk protein allergy, we do see.
Yeah.
So yeah, and egg allergy and all are not that common. It does happen, but peanut allergy is what is like we see from the Western world is not much here. So as Rekha ma'am has said that if there is no family history of a strong allergy to some food, we can give them from 8 to 9 months onwards. And if we find there is some allergy, then we can stop it. But start it.
Okay. There is some myth like some of the cultures have that koi food hot hai, koi food baby ke liye cold hai. Means why? What is the meaning of this? Is it really
Yeah,
like that?
yes, ma'am. So it is really a myth and a taboo. There is nothing called hot and cold of the food. So we have to follow the standard principles of giving all these 7 or 8 types of food which has been discussed, and start
Diversities,
them
yeah.
slowly and gradually. We should advise the family, don't start 3 foods at a time. So if something causes problem, then you wouldn't know. So it has to be slow and gradual. And there is nothing like, hot and cold. We have to tell them nothing like this. And especially you will be very surprised when people in summer will be telling mango is hot. Mango is available only in summer. So I always tell them, what do you mean? Mango is available in summer. Why it is hot? So
Yeah.
yes, we have to remove those myths and taboos.
Yeah, rightly said, ma'am. One of the question is that when to introduce salt and sugar, and really we need to add it in the baby's diet. I think sir has told something, but can you highlight something on it?
Yes, I think it has been, Sarah has already told, and this is the
Yeah.
commonest question actually we are seeing over last few days when to add salt and sugar. So as madam also said, Sarah also said, we should not make them a super tester by introducing it early. So start with blend, and if the parents insist, you can tell them, okay, maybe a little bit you can add. Parents will be happy, but if not, should not be loaded with sugar and salt, because the food which you are making already contains a lot of carbohydrate and some salt also. So yes, so they should be started late after 1 year. But I would say parents sometimes insist thoda se de. So I said, okay, give it little bit only, don't load it. then their taste will not develop to all the foods and they will be a super taster.
Because we Indians want something so much tangible to our tongue buds. But ma'am, one of my cousin was there in Amsterdam and I tasted the child's food. It was really bland. So there was no sugar or no salt, nothing. They have, yes, Neha.
Yeah. So that's why it's advisable to start after 1 year. But sometimes parents are like, thoda se add karu, that I said, okay, little bit, but not much. Don't load it with sugar.
Yes, someone was speaking.
Renu madam and Kanya madam.
Ha, sir.
I think regarding the nutrition of the child, we should not be extremist.
Yeah.
Okay.
We should be activist.
Yes.
So to say that any amount of salt or sugar is contraindicated or should not be used, I think will be a extremist attitude. As Kanna madam has rightly said, if some babies are not liking bland diet, we can add some amount of sugar or the salt depending upon the choice of the child. But at the same time, if you go for scientific evidence, it may not be needed because any carbohydrate or any sugar is going to be converted into glucose and glycogen in the body. Right. So there is no need as far as the science is concerned. But for practical utility, if the child is not accepting a bland diet, some amount of sugar or the salt, I don't think it should be contraindicated or we should take a extremist view that no, under any circumstances, you should not use salt or sugar.
Thank you, sir.
And
yes,
it
Neha?
satisfies the parents quite a bit. When they ask, add karu, so I said, yes, add a little bit. So they are happy.
Yeah, or we can give the option of choosing fruits in spite of sugar, and we can use lemon in place of salt.
So that can be done, madam, no issues. What I said initially in the basic principles of complementary feeding, it should be as per the liking of
child.
the child.
Yeah.
So if he likes salty food, okay, salt. If he likes sweet food, some amount of sugar. If he likes lemon, then there's no problem in adding some amount of lemon. I think we should have a practical approach rather than a extremist.
Yeah.
Sure,
actually, eating should be a pleasure. Like adults love eating, children also should love eating.
Yeah.
So the food, they should like what you are offering to them.
Yeah. Yes,
and definitely not
there was an article which said, but there was no scientific evidence for it, that you instead of salt you can use lemon, you can use aspartame, you can use some garam masala, some oregano or something like that, ginger or even this thing, but they are not scientifically proven, and there's little scientific evidence to say. It just depends upon the family's tradition. You take out without chili and without this thing, very pungent taste or smell. You take out the relatively blander.
But family diet, what the child will be taking later on. So
yeah, from the 1 year onward, the child has to eat from the family pot. That is what we have.
Yes.
Yeah, Kanya ma'am, what do you we have to understand what is mean by amylase rich food, and whether it is having an advantage and people should really use it or not for complementary feeding?
I think I'm not very sure about this answer, but amylase rich food that will help in digestion. This much I can tell you. And I don't know, you are talking about the commercial food or the naturally available?
Madam, it is naturally made available. It has to be germinated and roasted and then blended. And then you can make some porridge or like this, so that the density.
So if it is available like home-based, then you can use it. It will help in further digestion. So, but I would not say that you buy it from the market just to make it amylase.
Basically, I would like to add to it.
Yes, sir.
So amylase-rich food primarily is one of the food items, as Dr. Renu ma'am correctly said, home-based diet and primarily prepared at home. For example, we can take a sabut hara moong dal, then let it get it sprouted overnight. Then it has to be sun-dried, preferably in the sun, and then roasted. Then roasted and then made into a powdered form and added to the a normal diet, khichdi or whatever of the infants feeding. So primarily it is much more useful in diarrhea. In every case of diarrhea, amylase diet should also, because it is also starch-based diet. Also, once it has been roasted, the oil content, so it becomes a balanced diet, also adds to the growth of the baby. Ma'am, please add.
Thank you.
Yeah. One of the question is, Dr. Tiwari sir, for you, is Jaggery better than sugar or powder Jaggery or organic form?
Keeping in mind all the scientific discussions in the last 4 or 5 years, or we can say 1 decade, the advantage of Jaggery is definitely more than the sugar. And the two basic advantages which I know as far as the science is concerned: one, the Jaggery contains many minerals, and these minerals are helpful in the growth and development and of course the nutrition of the child.
Jaggery has more iron also, sir.
Minerals will be removed.
Yeah, iron.
And second problem is when you make a sugar from the Jaggery or sugarcane juice, during processing to get it more and more white, we have to pass it through the various chemical procedures, and this procedure contains sulfur, and this sulfur goes on adding to the sugar. So more the sugar is refined, more will be the chemicals and pollutants in that. So that's why the Jaggery is better than the sugar, only because it has less of the chemicals and more of the minerals. That is a scientific reasoning behind the Jaggery being better.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you, Kanya ma'am, for your answers previously. Now we will move over to our next panelist, Dr. Ashish Jensen. He's consultant pediatrician and medical legal advisor, Gurgaon, Haryana. And he is member board of medical negligence committee at Gurgaon, North India zonal chairman, IMLIA, IMA Haryana State President's Award 2020 he has received. He was organizing secretary for the first annual conference of IMLIA 2015, Gurgaon, conducted and organized IAP medico-legal workshops at North Zone. He's expert consultant for the e-course on NECAN 2021. He has chapters, articles in textbook of medico-legal issues and JIMLIA, associated editor JIMLIA, and also awards and recognitions to his name. Also a national consultative member of IYCF guidelines 2015 and 16. He was guest of honor at Lovely Professional University, Punjab, and received Distinguished Service Award National Consultative Meet on DNR Guidelines 2014. Over to you, sir. Welcome to this panel. Sir, I would like to ask what is meant by the IMS Act.
Good afternoon, everyone. And thank you, Master IAP, for taking the pains of such a wonderful topic and an important topic, and definitely a neglected one, as always, as very correctly mentioned by Dr. Ims sir in the beginning itself. So IMS Act. So before I come to the definition of IMS Act, it is one of the most important acts. Being a pediatrician, we should know, but then it is one of the most neglected areas which a pediatrician, which should actually be taken care of by a pediatrician first. So IMS Act was actually introduced in 1992, so almost 30 years, and India was the 10th country in all over the world to adopt this IMS Act. And the full form is it is the infant milk substitute, that is IMS, including feeding bottles and infant foods, which takes care of the regulation of production, supply, and distribution of these products. So it was amended again in 2003, came to light in 2004, and so now it is the Amendment Act. So it takes care of primarily any kinds of promotion, advertisement of milk substitutes, be it formulas, be it right now we have discussed about any kind of so-called cereal foods, baby cereal foods up till age of 2 years, or the so-called health drinks for the child up till age of 2 years. So primarily IMS Act it should, the responsibility is the biggest for a pediatrician first. It should come from the individual levels, and that is why I told that it's one of the most neglected thing, and implementation in spite of being adopted since last 30 years. And the implementation is the biggest issue, and that is why I think we all are here for.
Okay. So what is the role of government, whether central or state government is in having some role in it?
Definitely, ma'am. This act has come from the government itself only, has been amended again by the government, and the government has given authorities to 4 the so-called NGOs who have been registered by the central government, Indian government. That includes, first of all, BPNI, that is the Breastfeeding Promotion Network of India, which is doing a wonderful work. A lot many cases have been reported. Lot many violations have been reported and are under scrutiny. Then there is ACASH, Association of Consumer Action on Safety and Health. Again, it is based in Mumbai. Actually, the office is based in Mumbai, whereas BPNI's office is in New Delhi. Then there is Central Social Welfare Board and Indian Council of Child Welfare Board, again based in New Delhi. Again, if at all we talk about the central ministry, then Ministry of Health and Family Welfare is directly involved. Then DGHS office is again involved, and Ministry of Women and Child Development organization again is involved, including all the authorities like academic organization, ours organization, IAP, IYCF chapter of IAP, again NCT chapter also takes care of it. So there are so many organizations taking care of it.
Yeah. So role of United Nations agencies is also there.
Yes, ma'am. So again, organizations like WHO have been repeatedly coming up with it, and I think we might be aware of the recent videos. We can go to the World Health Organization site, which came up in April end, and this really highlighted that through the digital mode of marketing, the companies have not taken the biggest area of concern is initially the marketing strategies devised were only limited to personal level because the printing is not advisable. So they would practically visit the pediatricians. They are the first point of view. So I always say that as an individual and as being a responsible to the society, we are actually answerable to the society. So we cannot let ourselves down. We cannot succumb to their aggressive marketing strategies in all forms, and we should really take care of it, and we should also report about it. So WHO came with this digital marketing. Now digital marketing, if you go to YouTube, then you will find so many self-proclaimed nutritionists and any parent posting a video, and there are so many videos of how to open a formula, how to prepare it, how to thing, whereas this thing is totally not taken care of. It is just like a cigarette. Ma'am, Dr. Ekarish, ma'am is there. So cigarette smoking, alcohol, everything is there. They just give a bold. Again, this has been written 6 महीने तक माँ का दूध ही सर्वोत्तम आहार है. But implementation again, from pediatricians' view, from the obstetricians' point of view, from the society comes later on. जब तक हम लोग पहले से इस चीज के लिए सेंसिटिव नहीं होंगे और इम्प्लीमेंट नहीं करेंगे, it is very easy to sit on a forum and talk about it, but implementation is the biggest issue, and that is my main concern about Ims Act.
Rightly said, sir. Yeah, because the advertising company has taken over the minds of all the world people. So that's what is happening to everyone in all the aspects. So Tiwari sir, I would like to know what is the role of IAP, NGO and academic organizations, and how you will advise our pediatricians to proceed in this matter.
Yes, I think as Dr. Ashish has rightly pointed out, government has already come out with the Ims Act. In fact, there were some deficiencies, so it was amended in 2003. And now it is said to be one of the strongest act in the world as far as the infant feeding and the infant nutrition is concerned. Secondly, the role of UN agencies like WHO and UNICEF, they have also very clear-cut said that the international code has to be followed or the country specific code has to be followed. But unfortunately, as we have been discussing, though the laws are there, they are not followed in spirit, they are followed only in words most of the times. And even if they are followed or if they are not followed, the proper monitoring is not there. As you asked about the IP, many of IP members, they take sponsorship from Ims Act violator companies. Though the IP has accepted that Ims Act is required for the improvement in the child nutrition. So in this Ims Act, the not only the companies which are manufacturing the IMS are banned, but even the sister concerns are banned. Like I will give you example, if there is some company in the name that nutrition division, then the same company's name there is a vaccine division, same company's name healthcare division. So according to IMS Act, all these companies, whether they are sister concerns or not, all the divisions, they are banned. But what our members have feeling that only if it is regarding IMS Act, the nutrition division is banned. We can take sponsorship from the vaccine division or from the healthcare division. So our feeling, as I said, we are not extremists, but at the same time we are activists. So we want to convince not only IP, but the government and also the UN agencies that a proper monitoring and proper implementation of the act or the code is important. If the sister concerns are banned, we should not take from that also. IP itself has accepted this act for the benefit of the future generation of our country. So IP in principle agrees to this. So our members should not be misled that only if it is related to nutrition program. Many of our members feel that if these companies are sponsoring program on cardiology or nephrology or vaccinology, then it is not violation of IMS. Fortunately, 2 years back when Dr. Piyush Gupta was the president of Central IP, this act has been again accepted by the IP in a more stricter form, more vigilance, and now the IP has issued a letter that most of the members or all the members of IP should follow this act in words as well as spirit, and not to take any sponsorship from the companies or their sister concerns which are banned under the IMS Act. So I think the role of IP, IMA, and other academic associations in last 2 or 3 years, they have really accepted it as a very important act.
Okay. Yeah, thank you so much. Before, yes, Neha?
We can acknowledge the presence of Dr. Jain Shah, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and so we want we also want to have your view about IMS Act question.
Welcome, sir.
Sir, welcome, sir. Sir is President, Nandurbar IIP, and sir is lactation consultant.
Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. So this IMS Act is, in fact, whatever we have learned is, we have learned most of the things from Tiwari sir, who is
please, other persons, mute yourself, Dr. Dr. Ramakant Sharma, please mute yourself.
So this IMS Act, as sir has said, that it is very important to have the law as well as to have its proper implementation. And we see that most of our own colleagues are not actually aware of the fact that this certain law exists in our country. And unfortunately, whenever I have seen that certain speaker is ready to speak in a certain CME, which is sponsored by IMS Act company, and we speak to them and tell them that this is so and so, and this is a violation of IMS Act, they said, oh, I didn't know this. And after that, they agree to us and they withdraw their commitment. But we need to uh, go to our own people first and tell them that this is the act, you understand it. And as sir said, that even the sister companies, we should not take sponsorship from them. So let us start from ourselves. Then comes, after IAP comes the IMA also has agreed in principle, so other specialty doctors should also know that. And after that comes the because companies will always try to find a loophole and uh, have their way. So we should be more vigilant. And if anybody finds it, you can approach the IYCF chapter. I am the vice chairperson at present, and you can tell me or Dr. Tiwari sir or somebody, Dr. Kanya, and then we can have that. We can tell the central IAP also. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your wisdom words. At the end of this session, we are coming to end. There are few questions which are remaining. But what I get from this is that the feeding, it should be a responsive feeding where the parents should understand the cue, the satiety and the hunger of the child, I think. Yes, sir. Gangolia, sir.
Many things has been said against IMS, but all laws have loopholes. And we are the only defaulters. So probably whatever has been spoken, but that should not be followed. And off late, if you permit for 2-3 minutes, it's allowed 2-3 minutes, Dr. Renu madam.
Yes, sure, sir.
So off late, what I realized, rather than going, because we see different views expressed on the forums and various the other things followed practically. So what I've started, my target at present is the primies. Whenever the primies, they come for the routine checkup at the age of 15 days, 1 month, and how the counseling is the art. And if we connect to the society, if we connect to the patients, probably most of the things can get over. What I do, I will speak in Marathi because most of the members are here in Marathi. Probably nobody, if they don't follow Marathi, I may translate them into Hindi. What I say, whenever this primary comes to first, पहिली गोष्ट मी सांगते हे बाळाला.
Dr. Hemant, there is a Dr. Satish Sharma from Haryana and Dr. Yashwant Rao from Telangana, I think. So those, I do not know.
Okay, so what I say in
Marathi. Yes, sir. Satish Sharma sir is there. Yashwant Rao sir is there.
What I say in Marathi, I will just speak in
He
Hindi.
will
only.
translate it. Yeah.
I will not translate again.
Yes.
But what I speak is in totally the local layman language of the patient. In that way, I always talk to them. तो पर अभी मैं हिंदी में बोलूंगा उसको, तो मैं हिंदी में कैसे बोलूंगा उसको जो मैं मराठी में बोलता हूँ मेरे प्रैक्टिस में. तो ये जो आपका ये पहला बच्चा है आपका, ठीक है. तो पहले तो ये आप ध्यान में रखिए कि माँ का ही दूध सबसे बेस्ट रहता है और आपको दूध 6 महीने तो पिलाना ही है. आपने बहुत अच्छे से खाना खाना है, आपने विचार नहीं करना है. विचारों से दूध कम होता है और अच्छा खाना खाएंगे तो दूध बढ़ेगा. तो आपने उसको अच्छे से पिलाना चाहिए. और जब आप पिलाएंगे उसको, एक बाजू जब पिलाएंगे तो जब तक बच्चा पीना छोड़ता नहीं तब तो एक बाजू में पिलाइए और दूसरे बाजू में पिलाइए. ऐसा क्रम चालू रखिए. तो इसके बाद जब तक 6 महीना हो जाता है बच्चा, तो बहुत टाइम पे ऐसा लगता है कि अपने को लगता है कि माँ का दूध कम गिरने लगता है, पर ऐसा नहीं होता है वास्तविकता में. तो आप चालू रख सकते, पर आप 6 महीने के आसपास आप अपना जो भी खाना है, ऊपर का जो खाना हम खिलाते हैं उसको चालू करना चाहिए. कौन सा खाना देना चाहिए? अपन शुरुआत आप उसको चावल की गंजी सी कीजिए, कांजी सी कीजिए, और फिर उसको खाली पानी नहीं, उसमें दाल और उसमें चावल के कण होने चाहिए. उसको ज़्यादा उबालना चाहिए जिससे कि उसको बारीक होना चाहिए, और वो आप चालू कीजिए. और चालू करते समय आप क्या क्या आइटम दे सकते हैं? सब कुछ आइटम धीरे धीरे चालू कर सकते हैं. एक आइटम एक बार, क्योंकि पेट को आदत लगनी चाहिए. और एक आइटम एक बार और थोड़े थोड़े उसमें चालू कीजिए और धीरे धीरे आप सब कुछ दे सकते. ऑफ कोर्स आप ये जो भी आप खाना पकाते, आखिर में वो बच्चा क्या खाने वाला है? आपके घर में जो बनने वाला है वही खाने वाला है. इसलिए 6 महीने से लेके 1 साल के बीच में जो आप आदत बच्चे को लगेंगे, वही आदत उस बच्चे में बड़े होने में रहेगी. इसलिए आपको अपने घर में जो खाना बनता है उसको आप ज़्यादा उबालिए. ज़्यादा उबालने के बाद में उसको हाथ से मैश कीजिए, ग्राइंडर नहीं, ब्लेंडर नहीं, मिक्सर नहीं, क्योंकि अगर उसमें आप डालेंगे तो लिक्विड हो जाएगा, तो बच्चे को निगलने की आदत लगेगी, चबाने की आदत नहीं लगेगी। इसलिए आपको हमेशा मैश करके खिलाना है। और सब फ्रूट जो भी है उसको, फ्रूट्स को आपने धीरे 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 पर चढ़ाते रहना है। और अगर आप वेज खाते हैं, नहीं हम लोग नॉनवेज भी, आप नॉनवेज खाते हैं? हाँ नॉनवेज खाते, तो नॉनवेज 9 महीने के बाद आप शुरू कीजिए। एंड शुरुआत में आप उसको अंडे से आप चालू कर सकते हैं, पीला भाग पहले चालू कीजिए, फिर सफ़ेद भाग कीजिए, और फिर दूसरे सब जो नॉनवेज है वो नॉनवेज आप उसको दे सकते हैं, मगर वो, और उसको टाइम टेबल मत बनाइए, ये 10 बज गया ये खिलाना है, 12 बज गया ये खिलाना है, 3 बज गया। उसके बच्चे के हिसाब से जब भी उसको भूख लगती है तभी आप खिलाना चाहिए, दे के देखना चाहिए। तो बहुत बार वो उन लोग बोलते हैं कि कैसे जाने कि उनको अच्छा लगता है नहीं लगता है, कैसे पहचानने का? जब भी आप कोई भी चीज़ आप खिला रहे, धीरे से 1-2 चम्मच से खिलाइए। अगर बच्चा आराम से खाने लगा तो उसको अच्छा लग रहा है, अगर वो वाक वाक करने लगा है तो शायद उसको टेस्ट अच्छा नहीं लग रहा है, तो उसको टेस्ट को चेंज करना चाहिए। तो किस तरह से चेंज करना चाहिए वो आपके ऊपर है। जो पहले उसको, किसी को मीठा अच्छा लगता है, किसी को अब जैसा अभी डिस्कस हुआ था सॉल्ट अच्छा, किसी को तीखा भी अच्छा लगता है। मेरे पास में अभी ऐसे भी बच्चे जो 10 महीने के होते हैं, उन लोग तीखा भी खाते हैं। तो जो टेस्ट, जो घर में आपके टेस्ट चलने वाला है वो आप खिला के देखिए और खाना चाहिए। और ये सब खाते समय जितने भी हो गए आप उसको खिलाना चाहिए। एक साल का होने तक सब कुछ खाना चाहिए जो आप घर में खाते हैं। और दूसरी और एक बात, उसके पीछे पीछे मत भागना। एक बार 10-11 महीने का बच्चा हो जाता है, जब भी वो बैठता है तो अपने आप खाना खाते हो ना, तो उसमें से कुछ कुछ चीजें उठा के वो मुंह में डालने की कोशिश करता है, तो करने दीजिए। भले वो चीज गिरे, नीचे गिरे, आजू बाजू में गिरे, तो भी आपको उसको हाथ से उठाना। जितना अच्छा वो अपने हाथ से खा सकेगा, उतनी उसको अच्छी आदत रहेगी, उतना ही उसका पेट भरेगा। आप उसको, अगर आप खिलाने की आदत ही चालू रहेंगे तो 6 साल तक भी आप उसके पीछे पीछे भागेंगे, और बच्चा आगे आगे और आप पीछे पीछे भागेंगे। तो इस तरह से आप उसको 1 साल तक होने तक सब कुछ खाना चाहिए। 1 साल के बाद में जितनी, जैसा उसको चाहे वैसे खा सकते हैं। तो दिस इज द काउंसलिंग विच व्हाट आई गिव। दिस आई स्टार्टेड ऑफ लेट गिविंग टू द प्राइमरी एंड इट सीम्स वर्किंग वेल। हाँ, दूसरा और 2-3 चीज बोलता, हाँ, ये बूस्ट, हॉर्लिक्स, बोर्नवीटा खाली टीवी में देखने का, एडवर्टाइज खाली टीवी के लिए, आपके लिए नहीं है। आप मेरे पेशेंट है, आपके लिए वो एडवर्टाइजमेंट नहीं है। एडवर्टाइज को खाली देखने का और उनको उधर ही पढ़ने दीजिए। पर आपका बच्चा कैसे पढ़ेगा? आपके घर के खाने से बढ़ेगा। तो आपको आपका घर का खाना देना चाहिए, जरूरी है, ये देखे नहीं देना। और इससे कुछ नहीं होता है। और कभी कभी जब भी, अभी तो देरी हो गया, मगर पहले ये तेंदुलकर का बहुत चलता था एडवर्टाइजमेंट, तभी मैं बोलता था वो तो तेंदुलकर पहले खेलता था, अभी किधर तक बूस्ट, बूस्ट तो बाद में आया है। तो अभी वो सीक्रेट ऑफ एनर्जी बोलता है, वो सब बकवास है, उसको छोड़ दो। एडवर्टाइज के पीछे मत भागो, आपको क्या देना है और वो बड़ा होने का क्या खाएगा वो जरूरी है। इस तरह से दैट इज द काउंसलिंग विच आई गिव, एंड मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम दिस इज फॉर प्राइमरी। नाउ आई हैव स्टार्टेड डूइंग टू द दिस। अभी जो मदर्स आते हैं ना, ये मेरा बड़ा बच्चा है, अभी भी उसको दूध ही लगता है, अभी भी उसको दूध से ही पीता है। और हाँ, दूसरा और एक और ऐड करता हूँ, जब भी आप करेंगे, आपका दूध कम होने के बाद दूसरे दूध से सब्सिट्यूट नहीं करने का। गाय का दूध नहीं, भैंस का दूध नहीं, बकरी का दूध नहीं। भाई बकरी, बिकॉज इन आवर एरिया स्टिल दे फीड गोट मिल्क्स, सो आई मेंशन बकरी आल्सो। सो दिस 3, नो मिल्क फॉर दिस। जानवर का दूध जानवर के लिए, इंसान के लिए नहीं है। इंसान का दूध इंसान के लिए है, तो आपको वो दूध नहीं यूज करना चाहिए। ये सब बोलता हूँ। और फिर जब भी सेकंड टाइम वो बोलता है बड़ा बच्चा अभी भी खाता नहीं है, तो मैं लगा आपने वो कोशिश किया ना, अभी अभी छोटे दूसरा बच्चा है ना, इसके बाद प्रयत्न कीजिए जो मैं बोलता हूँ, आप इसको अप्लाई करके दिए, एंड दे फील रियली। बट इट टेक्स टाइम, आई स्पेंड एटलीस्ट 5 minutes to tell that all these things, but they listen, because now over the years I am practicing, probably they listen too much more, I may not, maybe. So this, I think so, art of counseling at the beginning only. Though the child, it is a 15-day-old child, but I say that time itself, so it remains in the mind, and whenever they come and again I hit them on that mind, same thing, repeat, so it works. And the same thing if you tell at the age of 8 months, when already they have started something, it's very difficult to break that vicious cycles. That was I want to say.
But then again, once the pediatrician comes in, ये ANC की बात थी, but once a pediatrician like me, who is individually practicing, comes in, so you have to take those counseling sessions to half an hour to 40 minutes. The only thing is, the problem is we give in too early. In the name of modernity, in the name of practicality, in the name of other patients, we give in too early. We should not give in. In fact, I'm not carrying it right now. In my clinic, I have got a stamp made which is green in color, and it clearly mentions 6 महीने के लिए माँ का दूध ही सर्वोत्तम आहार है, and including in English also exclusive breastfeeding till 6 months of age plus instructions. Otherwise, I just give a green stamp on my paper so that it has been considered, and it also in written form, that is a green stamp, including a logo of the mother taken from the WHO, including with a baby. And I also have a stamp which is a good practice. I think everyone should follow it. In written also a red stamp which shows that डब्बे का दूध या किसी भी उसका दूध देना बंद करें, बोतल दूध की बोतल को तुरंत फेंक दे. And that is again mentioned in English, including a small circular crossed circle that includes a bottle. And so once you repeatedly do it, and I'm damn sure my patients, once who have turned their back towards me of excessive counseling and this thing, they have turned back to us. Once they come back to you, that is the biggest thing, and that is the challenge. That is why I always say implementation, and you should not give in to any of these companies, any of this thing. I have been very honestly, I have been into practice for 18 years. I don't remember prescribing of formula to anyone. I just throw away the bottle, cut the bottle in front of the patients, and I ask the mothers to cry. Let them cry. They also end up crying क्योंकि उनका बहुत ज्यादा sentiments होता है उस bottle के लिए. But you have to go one step ahead. Sometimes parents don't like it, but yes, they get the point and the intent of the doctor.
And one more thing I forgotten, always no to biscuit, no to vapor, no to chocolate. And I have seen people starting Cadbury as a starting applying to the lips, to the mouth. So that should be also discouraged. And of course, the cream biscuits, cocoa chocolates should be as far as possible avoided. And Dr. Ashish, I agree what you say, but still I feel very pity for our fraternity, but our fraternity still takes the parties from such companies and they have
Sure,
the
sir,
enjoy.
sure.
So that
Sure.
should be really to start from ourselves.
That is what I told. And at least I'm proud enough that I'm implementing everything in my practice since last.
I am very bad in their books because I never write any formula.
I am too.
Okay,
Dr.
thank you so
Hemant
much.
and Dr. Pawar, Dr. Hemant and Dr. Amol.
Yes,
Sorry
sir.
to
Yes,
interrupt,
sir.
but there is raining at Amravati. It is raining.
Yeah, we will have the next question, sir. Yeah. After
Send
the
to us
marathon,
also, sir.
after,
So I can get disconnected at any time. Huh?
नहीं
Parcel
अभी
करो,
तुम्हाला
parcel
connect
करो,
करतो,
range parcel
tension
करो.
मत करा.
Yes.
So after a very marathon speech by Gangolia sir and Ashish Jain sir also, we are counseled, and we are, I think you have counseled all our participants in this today's webinar also. So over to Neha for the further session.
Thank you, ma'am. I think so. The 9 months of pregnancy is a special time for great happiness and joy for a mother. And as soon as the mother holds the baby, she finds her complete. Breastfeeding plays a very positive influence between the bond of a mother and a child. But according to WHO, breast milk is not enough for the nutritional supplement of the baby. So we have to add the complementary feeding for the baby, for the growth of the baby, typically from 6 months to 24 of months of age. And I think so after this session, everyone should take an oath for promoting breastfeeding and avoiding bottle feeding and formulas and junk food.
So we
Let,
request
Rekha-
Dr. Harish ma'am to
Yes,
please take the oath, and we will all recite after you, ma'am.
I think we should first pledge that we will take this oath absolutely, truly from our conscience, and will practice it also throughout our lives. And we will make this oath a part of every PGs. My routine with postgraduates in my department in Jammu was that no patient can be admitted with a bottle. If the I count the number of bottles in that residence area and give him negative marks, him or her negative marks for that. And absolutely rightly, we need to practice to preach. Otherwise, if we allow bottles in our wards, our postgraduates are going to learn that and cause spread the message. So our postgraduates need to be trained in that environment so that they lead up with that this thing. So the pledge I have a video also of my previous postgraduates when they used to enter the pediatric department to not to allow any bottle feeding and go strictly with the breastfeeding. We have prepared a oath. I'll read it out.
Yeah, we are ready.
So today on the occasion of Complementary Feeding Day in the year of 2022.
Today
on
the occasion of Complementary Feeding Day of 2022. Everybody should speak, sir. Hey, Gangolia, sir.
Yes. We pledge that we will always do our best to promote mothers feeding.
We pledge that we will always do our best to promote
mothers feeding.
Initiating within first hour of life and continuing exclusively for initial 6 months.
Initiating within first hour of life,
continuing
exclusively for 6 months.
And 6 months onwards, along with homemade age-appropriate complementary feeding till the age of 2 years.
And 6 months onwards, along with homemade age-appropriate complementary feeding
till 2 years of age.
We will never leave any opportunity to promote mothers feeding, assist mothers to do so under difficult circumstances.
We will never
leave any opportunity
to promote mothers
feeding
or assist mothers to do so under difficult circumstances.
Simultaneously, we will condemn, never promote or advise any ultra-processed food or drinks.
Simultaneously, we will condemn, never promote or advise
any ultra-processed foods or drinks.
Solely in the interest of children, our community, our country, our environment, and our Mother Earth.
Solely in the interest of our children, our community, our country, our environment, and our Mother Earth.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Hey Satya Bhave.
Dil se.
Dil se. Yeah.
Dil se.
Yeah, I now request Dr. Tiwari sir, are you there? अरे बापरे डिस्कनेक्ट झाले का रेन मुळे ओके हरीश मैडम कैन यू सम अप फॉर अस या
I think Dr. Gangolia ji has already summarized the basic principles, the technique, the approach, the composition, the target, the basic roots of complementary feeding, why are they so important, and that all of us need to work for this main cause, which is the root cause with the disturbances during this period are the root cause for settling in of malnutrition as well as for NCDs in later childhood. And we need to stop this epidemic of malnutrition and stunting and non-communicable diseases in early childhood. So with all these words, I wish good health for everybody on this planet.
Yeah, thank you so much. At the end of this session, actually it is the main important thing that we have learned about the complementary feeding, but along with it the responsive feeding, that it should be enjoyable to both the parent as well as the child. That is very must for the feeding factor. And also parents should maintain eye-to-eye contact, talk with the child while feeding, and allow the child to try to feed himself or herself, even if he gets messy or whatever. so that he can enjoy himself and we also can make him learn what he wants to eat. So thank you so much.
जाते जाते रेस्पॉन्सिव फीडिंग में ये मोबाइल का यूज नहीं होना चाहिए, मोबाइल स्क्रीन होना चाहिए.
Yeah, and first and most important thing that the parent himself or herself should be a role model. They should not see the mobile and give feeding to the child, and also don't show the child any type of screen below 2 years, as it is not at all advisable. Otherwise it will cause problem on the brain development. So now over to
we have to allow in some IPD patients because to continue saline or giving
sir,
antibiotics.
We have to give a clear-cut message, sir, here. So no IPD patient, no OPD patient. That's what the message is. So over to you, Dr. Amol, sir, for
Ashish sir.
I was just adding to Dr. Amol's this thing. You see, again, I'll answer it in the same manner. Everywhere, if something wrong is being done, so in bold, the solution for it is that it is dangerous to health, it is injurious to health, is being written. So the same can be done in your wards also, in your OPD also. I have pasted a big poster of a bottle with a big cross, and that was IUCF logo in 2015 national conference. So I have posted the same. So that adds to the written thing, adds to their pictorial memory, and somewhere or the other, it adds to it your verbal and counseling apart from your counseling. So that could be done.
So way out between Dr. Renu madam and Dr. Amol sir. We do not be extremist, be activist. So
we understood.
Because on one hand we are having the wards which have TVs there.
Yes.
They are running.
Yes.
Government is also running the health related messages on videos. So we can't stop that screen. And little bit of video calling is required sometimes with our parents when the child is crying and the parents are out. So even in infancy, we allow a little bit of video calling so that the child he keeps recognizing. If the father is gone for 6 months outside, so at least he will recognize. So that part, those caveats are there. And as Dr. Satish Tiwari ji has already said, we are activists and not extremists. So we have to follow that.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. Amol, can you take the vote of thanks, please?
Yes. Thank you all faculties. My favorite, Dr. Rekha Harish ma'am, then respected Dr. Ashish Jensen, stalwart lactation consultant, chairperson IYCF chapter from Maharashtra, Amravati, the founder of Milk Bank in Amravati also, Dr. Satish Tiwari sir. Then I see in attendees Dr. Jain Shah sir. He is the president, Nandurbar IIP, and also a lactation consultant, and is the author of many lactation books of Central IIP. Then Dr. Kanya Mukhopadhyay madam, who is secretary of this IYCF chapter. Dr. Satish Sharma sir. This session has got many memories because lot of inputs have been given about complementary feeding by all these stalwarts, and I thank both the moderators Neha Singh and Renu Boralkar madam for conducting the session smoothly and interactively. I thank my president Dr. Hemant Gangolia for his marathon speech and a lot of inputs equal to faculties. Thank you one and all. Thank you all the attendees on Zoom and YouTube platform. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye, Sonali.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye, madam. Bye.
Thank you for attending.
Recording.